What's up, guys? My name's Elise, or Caffeine Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about how Nirvana Jheva, which, if you don't know, is the crossover dress deck for standard. As a BT-13, it got an incredibly powerful new crossover dress unit along with a bunch of new para-dragons. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it, and this is going to be a bit more of a casual profile versus something with a bit more thought, more competitive thoughts into it, but the reason for that is I personally think the deck is very strong. It's just not for me, so I've just got what I have and a couple of notes that I know people are doing. For the ride line, I'm doing the regular starter, which does actually need to be brought up here. Some people will opt to use the Trickstar starter instead. That way you can guarantee you get 2 within the course of a game. There's pros and cons to this. I personally think if you end up going second, the draw is so much more important because you get so far behind. For the grade 1, I'm on the Heart-Pounding Blazebane Reno, which when rode upon calls a Trickstar. The Snuggling Blazebane Ryu, which when rode upon by Jheva, search the top 7 for a Prayer Dragon. And lastly, Nirvana Jheva, which once per turn you can discard a card to call a Trickstar and a Prayer Dragon from drop, so those are always free discards as you're riding up. And when she swings, you can counterblast 1 to restand one of your crossover dress units. And now we get into why it's a little bit weird, because we're going to talk about first the non-crossover dress stuff. So I'm on 3 copies of the Persona Ride and 3 copies of Trick Moon. And the Trick Moons are your main bread and butter. I'm running 3 because you desperately need to be seeing 2. For crossover dress units, I'm on 2 copies of Vilsverina, which when you crossover dress, you can return a crossover dress unit from your drop zone to your hand, other than itself. And while it's in this state, it gets plus 5k power and 10k guard during both players' turns, and resist. On that, I'm on the 1 copy of Verina, which, when it swings, it gets 10k for the battle, and it has a guard restrict of 2 or more cards from hand. I'm on 3 copies of Mirror's Verena, which when it's placed, you can put up to 2 Verenas from drop under it as original dress, and then every time it attacks, it gets 10k. Then, for a cost of putting an original dress Verena back to drop, you can either draw a card or countercharge 1. This is your main resource engine to not have to take so much damage to combo as heavily. And lastly, we have the new one, Blazing Holy Sword Equip, Straverina, which actually requires 2 different Prayer Dragons or more, along with the Trickstar. While it's in the front row, both it and your Nirvana get 10k, and it gives Nirvana the triple drive skill instead of twin drive. Along that, when it's restood by your Nirvana while in the crossover dress state, if your opponent's on grade 3, you can counterblast 1 and restand all of your talismans and prayer dragons. And if you didn't know, talisman is the race on all of your Verenas and your Trickstars. Along that, if it has 5 original dress, you wipe your opponent's board of all markers and units. For prayer dragons, I'm on 2 copies of Grail Mirror. This is your searcher. When it becomes an original dress, you Soul Blast 1, check the top 7, reveal 2 Verenas, 1 goes to hand, the other is discarded. From there, I'm on 4 copies of Stragalia, which, when placed, you can discard a card. When placed, if you have a Nirvana Vanguard, you can discard a card, or to either add an Overdress unit or Trickstar to your deck, from your deck to your hand. I'm also on 3 copies of Blazing Heavily / Equip Dragon Drawhouse, which, when placed, counterblast 1 and retire unit, you get to call 2 Blazing Heavenly dragons from deck or drop as rest, and this is good for getting the material out to go into Straverina, Along with that, if you retired an original or a crossover dress unit for its skill, you draw a card. Two copies of Spearhead Equipped Dragon Nandika, which gives you your crossover dress unit that uses an original dress card restrict for the low cost of a Soul Blast. And lastly, 4 copies of the new triple rare Blazing Heavenly Render Equipped Dragon Aparagia, which on place for a Soul Blast and discard calls any single prayer dragon from your deck. And then when it's original dress, you draw a card and essentially give the crossover dress unit resist. And lastly, for the generics, I'm on 3 regular perfect cards and Sanctitude. I'm playing 7 regular criticals. I'm not using these soul crits because I personally think that if you have to call this for whatever reason to push for game, the extra 1k is going to make more of a difference. Four copies of Flare Veil Dragon, which is the 10k card draw. For regular heals, you can use 2 of the crit heals. This is a format that has a lot of gain critical by effect, so those may be worth running. And lastly, for my overtrigger, I'm running the good old Drag Veda, because why would you not want more drive checks? And that's gonna be the end of this video. There's really not a lot to talk about, in my opinion, and about this deck. For me, I'm more casual with the deck. I think it's really cool, but I'm not really the expert on it. And with that, I hope you guys enjoy. Peace.